Hello, everybody. Welcome back to No Code North and another Learn in the Lodge presentation. And this week we are excited to have Grace Walker, Webflow developer at Grace Walker Design, and now the creative director at Spellbook Legal, to present to us a presentation and tutorial on using Visual Electric, an AI generator for amazing images. And we've all seen the things that Grace has been able to create so far, and we want to learn from her. So welcome, Grace. Hello.
Take it
Nice to
away.
see you again. Yeah, all yours.
Thank you so much, Penny. And thanks to the whole No Code North crew for inviting me on to share about Visual Electric and image generation and AI and all of that. So let me share my screen here. I have a little bit of this session is kind of like part presentation, part tutorial. I have some slides to go through just to talk a little bit about like AI image generation, how I use AI in my work, how other people are using AI in their work. And then we're going to do like a fun little exercise today where we'll hopefully leave with some new creations. So I know some of you, but I don't know all of you. So for those of you who don't know me, like Penny said, my name is Grace Walker. I'm a designer and Webflow developer based in Calgary. I was previously independent for 4 years, as Penny mentioned, Grace Walker Design Inc. And I recently started a new job as creative director at Spellbook. And it's been this wonderful journey to leave my independent practice and start doing work that is more kind of like in-depth in a brand, and also for a company that is powered by AI. So it's like very fitting for what we're going to talk about today. So our workshop today, like I said, will be part presentation, part tutorial. And if you haven't already, I would encourage you to sign up for Visual Electric, as we're going to be using it to a little bit later in our session today to generate images. You shouldn't need a paid account to do any of the stuff that we're going to do today. But if you would like to sign up, Colin Dunn, the CEO and co-founder at Visual Electric, graciously sent me a code. If you do want to sign up, you can get $20 off your first sign up with the code NOCODENORTH. So you can create an account, not create an account. You can follow along, be part of this, or if you just want to watch and be entertained, I will try to make this session as entertaining as possible. But yeah, like I said, to get us started, I want to talk a little bit about AI imagery, how I use it, how I think it's best used overall. So this is kind of a collection of some of the images that I've created over the last 6 months using Visual Electric. And just like playing around with it. If you've been on the internet anytime in the last 3 years, you'll probably have seen many thousands of images created with AI. And when AI image generation first came out, the results were like kind of comical. Like it was like, ha ha ha, like this is never going to be used in client work or serious applications. But very quickly this year, with tools, and even last year with tools like Midjourney and now Visual Electric, the outputs are so incredible, and the things that you can do with them to remix them and include them in your design work has just grown exponentially, and the possibilities are really incredible. We're going to focus on Visual Electric for this tutorial because it's the tool that I have the most experience with, but there are a lot of really great AI image generation tools out there like Midjourney, and like major players like Canva and Adobe also have their own tools. So the reason that I have really liked Visual Electric is because of their interface. And if you've used other tools like Midjourney, you know that you access them through Discord, which I don't really love. But the Visual Electric interface is actually just like a really lovely experience. It feels like a very familiar tool if you're a designer. It works in a lot of similar ways and follows similar patterns. So it's just a really comfortable place to be. And this is just the tool that I'm going to be showing today, but I think it's useful if you can take the same approach with any tool that you're using, whether it's an AI image generation tool or other AI tools, is that you should really just try it. I've wasted so much time thinking about trying things when if I would have just taken 30 minutes to just like try something and see what it could do, I would have been a lot better off and made a lot of progress sooner. There's no harm in a free trial, whether it's this tool or any others. And if you do creative work professionally, paying for even just like a month of a trial or a month of a new tool to test it out and see if it works for you, I think is generally really, really worthwhile. So I want to talk a little bit about like how I first started using AI imagery. And the first kind of like real thing that I like put out into the world that wasn't just like tinkering with it was a launch video that I did for a course that I created called Fast Forward Freelance. I launched this course last year. I had compiled like so many different things about freelancing into this course, and I was so excited to launch it, but I knew that I should have a video to launch, and I didn't really want to film another one of me talking because I had a bunch of those. And I had this poem that I had written about freelance work, and it was just like the perfect scenario of things coming together where I had a spark of an idea and I wonder, like, I've been like tinkering around with Visual Electric, and I had this thought of like, I wonder if I could create a video out of these images, and that's exactly what I did. I had this idea at like 9 p.m. on a Friday, and I stayed up until 1 a.m. just like going through and generating images and eventually put them all together into this like sequence with text and words and imagery that kind of like came together and into this full thing. It was really like a magical experience, if I'm being honest about it. Like, it was a tool that I think created so many sparks of creativity for me, where I created something and I was like, oh, but what if I tried this? And what if I tried this? And I think a lot of folks here are like into Webflow and design and development. And you've probably felt that same spark working in Webflow of trying something and realizing what you can accomplish, and then you want to build on that and build on that, and it's just like so fun to feel that momentum with a tool. And I find that momentum was so easy to grasp within Visual Electric that it just became this like wonderful creative partner for me. Even in this kind of like earlier version, the outputs are now like exponentially better than they were even in January. So it's just been like a really, really fun tool. I think the coolest part about all of this was being able to generate images that matched my vision. I'm not an illustrator. It's something that I find in my work is like a fairly large limitation. And I don't know if it's just that I am not confident drawing or a mental block or whatever, but it's never something that's like come naturally to me. I'm much more confident with layouts and typography and web structures and things like that. So using Visual Electric to generate images has been so fun. I realized that this slide, one of the images is not on here. Anyways, there we go. So that kind of brings me to this point that I have around viewing AI tools as partners and not replacements. Creating that first video with Visual Electric made me realize that AI was not something that was going to replace me, but it could be a really great collaborative partner for me in my work. This kind of takes me to another point where I feel really strongly that a lot of great creative work is rooted in human experience. Art is powerful because of the layers of who created it and when it was created and where it was created and all of those things. And I think that in general, like, beautiful art that is created is connected to the human spirit. And whether that is authored by a human being as an illustrator or an artist, or by someone directing that work to happen, I think that there is like an interesting kind of like spirit in both of those executions. Even if a human and a machine create very, very similar images, the one that's created by a human is very likely going to have a more interesting story. And we really like stories as people. Like, that's why we connect to things. It's it's really interesting to look at AI image generation not as a, like I said, a replacement for artists, but as a complement to work that can be created in collaboration with machines. This is the first instance of AI image generation that I used in my work. This is for a client project earlier this year for my client Catheros. They have a really very, very cool technology that turns liquid nitrogen into gas to power pneumatic devices on oil and gas well sites. It eliminates methane output. It's like very, very cool. But I also, like, when we first started this project, I had been using Visual Electric a little bit, and I wanted to figure out, like, is there a way that I can use this to generate images? Like, this technology is so complicated. I want to help understand this. And it ended up being like a pretty simple application where I created these really fun gradient textures that almost felt like a middle ground between liquid and gas. And I did this in Visual Electric using their motion blur preset. They have a bunch of presets, which we're going to get into shortly in our kind of like tutorial portion of this. But I really just like played around and kind of tinkered with stuff and tried all the different presets. And this one just like had a spark. And I was like, oh, there's something interesting there of like, this feels like liquid, it feels like water, but it feels kind of like it's changing states. And I paired this with these fully custom 3D renderings that we did of Catheros' actual technology, their tanks, which are very impressive. And so I think in this way, like this is kind of like the overarching theme of how I think that AI imagery is used best is not straight from its output. I think a lot of people get really stuck on generating something and they think that, oh, this should just be the final thing. And I think that's like absolutely not the way to think about AI images, is that they are an asset for you to take as a designer to weave into your work. And so the way that I tried to approach it with Catheros was like, this is one element that can help improve and further the messaging that we're trying to convey with this, but we can pair it with custom assets and a beautiful design and fully custom website. And so if you can take these AI images and remix them into like new layouts and new applications, or bring them into Photoshop and adjust them and layer them, like I think that's really where there is a lot of magic. We're kind of bouncing around here. But I think that going back to that point that I had about art being something that is created from the human spirit, technology is machines basically that are created by humans. Design is this really nice middle ground. And I think that's like why I've loved being a designer and why I wanted to be a designer when I was young, is that it really is this like beautiful middle ground between art that is an expression of humanity and technology, which is an expression of progress. And it's just it's a really nice spot to be, I think, as a designer, to be able to see what is happening in the art world, see what is happening with the forefront of technology, and figure out how you can weave those two things together. And that is where I think like tools like Visual Electric are really powerful as web designers or creatives or whatever we are doing. I feel really, really strongly that the best creative work of the future is going to be created by designers that trust their vision to create, or trust their taste rather, to create what they envision. AI will just make the execution easier. Like I said, I feel really, really strongly that AI is not going to replace designers, but the best designers will use AI to supplement their work, to compound and expand their capabilities. And the kind of like best designers of the future and the best designers of right now even are using AI to basically execute on lots of different things that are aligned with their taste, to bring their vision to life in a more fulsome way that previously wouldn't have been possible due to budget constraints or skill limitations or any of this kind of stuff. I think, like I said, with all of this these new tools, and we're living in a world where like new technology is coming out every single day, and it feels so difficult to try and keep up with all of it. Which is why we're here doing this workshop, is because we're just going to try stuff. And I think that I would encourage all of you to do this every day in your work, is to just try stuff. If you see something that looks cool, give it a go, see if you can execute on it. And if you can't, then that's okay too. Maybe you revisit in a little while, or maybe that's just not the tool for you. But I think there is a lot of knowledge to be gained and joy to be had and fulfillment in our work by just like trying new stuff and seeing if it helps us get closer to our vision and executing on our taste. I do think that there is an important acknowledgement that we need to make, that AI images are trained on other people's work. And I don't know necessarily how I feel about that fully. I think that it is really important to always keep that in mind and know that if you are using these tools, there is a little bit of I think just like caution that needs to be had around how you're using things, and making sure that you're not prompting things based on like someone else's unique style. I still think in general, like I said, like art is created from a human spirit, and no AI image or generated image is ever going to fully replace something that was created by a human hand. But there is this kind of like scale of work, of things that are created from AI, things that are created by humans. And I think this is like perfectly summarized in this tweet by Ian Hatcher Williams, where he says, "My working theory on AI and creative work is this: fast food didn't replace home cooking or fine dining. Both exist, and no one contemplates why either are here. Taco Bell and Michelin star each have their place, and I love both." And this is kind of like how I'm trying to approach AI image generation right now, is that I'm still working with illustrators. Right now, I'm trying to source photographers. Like, there is a place for artists and creatives who do beautiful work, and I think there always will be. But AI images can be that kind of like fast food version of expression for your brand. You can have fully custom, beautiful work done by an artist, and you can also have something that was output by tools like Visual Electric. And I think that they both have a place. I'm working with both of those ends of the spectrum right now, and it's a complicated thing that I think a lot of people are working through right now, is like, how do we work with AI in a way that doesn't devalue artists? And like I said, I still feel I have like complicated feelings about it. And it does feel pretty criminal, I think, how a lot of artists have had their work cannibalized by machines that like spit out their like outputs based on their creative energy and labor. So being cautious of that, having that in the back of your mind, I think is really important. But I still think and feel really strongly that AI images will become a part of a lot of the work that we do. Speaking of that, I asked on Twitter last night how people are using AI image generation in their design work. And if you head to Twitter, or maybe I can find the link, or if somebody else can find the link to that and post it in the chat, that would be great. But I was blown away to see how people are using AI in their work, from small applications to huge applications. I got a couple DMs from folks who were doing just like insanely impressive things with different tools. There was like 80 plus replies to that. So if you're looking for inspiration, thanks, Keith, help me. If you're looking for inspiration to see, like, you don't know where to start, or you're not sure how to use assets or what assets you should be creating, there's some really amazing work in that thread that can give you some great ideas on what to do with these new tools. There's also really amazing work being created at super high levels by brands like Perplexity, that are just creating incredible AI generated images, layering them together with beautiful design work, and creating outputs that feel incredibly magical. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of like joy to be had and fulfillment in creating work that feels really aligned with your vision with these new tools. So in general, I find the easiest way to start something or try something new is to start small. So I have a little exercise for us that we can take the next half hour to do. And I thought it'd be fun to make some holiday cards. So I have, there's a Fig Jam here that we can post the link to that has some frames. We're going to go through kind of like a live example of how this works, but basically I created a bunch of frames here with that you can like layer over top of images. And so if you are in Visual Electric generating images, you can pop them in here, duplicate them and like throw a frame on top of them and create some fun holiday cards. So I'm going to stop sharing in Figma. I'm going to jump into Visual Electric for a moment here, and we're going to kind of like go through some live image generation. And then we can all kind of like hang out in Fig Jam as well and put together some cards and things like that. I'll kind of like pause there as well before I jump into Visual Electric. If there was any kind of questions or comments or anything to chat about so far. I know that was kind of like a little bit of a spew about AI and art and design and all of it together. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let's get going. So if you haven't jumped into Visual Electric yet or so far, basically once you create an account, you have access to this dashboard. You can see I've generated lots of different images for lots of different things. And basically each kind of project that you create is a canvas. So within here, you can prompt anything. So I'm going to say a walk in a winter wonderland. You can write anything that you want in the prompt. I would really try to encourage you to just try a lot of different things. I find often I'll start with something really general, like either like a word or like a small phrase like this. And then based on the output, I will tweak that and figure out where I want it to go next. I find that it kind of leads you down a pathway, and then you can fork into different directions. So even with this, like a walk in winter wonderland, what I really like about Visual Electric is that they have these other kind of filters that you can add to your prompts to help you with your outputs. So for this, I could select, I want it to be blue and red and yellow. Under styles, they have different features. So you can scroll through a bunch of photography styles. What I love about Visual Electric is that they have these fine art, illustration, and craft presets. So for example, if I selected the Art Nouveau style, let's just see what it does here. Some of these toque beanies were a little bit ugly yesterday. I was trying to generate stuff for these holiday cards, but it sometimes takes a moment here. And then we'll have these so this Art Nouveau style is pulling from references in this, and we get these kind of beautiful, ethereal women in these gorgeous winter scenes. But if I change this and maybe let's do a gouache painting, I really love this preset as well. We'll probably get some more colorful, beautiful outputs here, hopefully. But yeah, see, look at these, look at that. With the colors that we selected, those blues and yellows and reds, it just does these really interesting compositions. I find that a tool like Visual Electric especially is really amazing for just mood boarding and ideas and kind of setting yourself up on a path to just see where it goes. Oftentimes I'll have kind of a loose idea of what I want to create when I get into Visual Electric, and it'll lead me down a completely different path that is equally fun and equally cool. So we can see here, vintage poster. These outputs are more so they feel like a retro travel poster or something. Look at that. I feel like that could be a shot of a train station in Ontario from the 50s, and it's just like really, really fun. Look at that. It's basically what's going through my head every time I use Visual Electric is like, oh my God, look at that. It's so fun. But yeah, so what I would maybe encourage us to do, I'm going to go back to Figma for a moment here, is we can kind of like break out a little bit and yeah, see, Keith is already, look at that, Santa. Is I would encourage you just to like hop into Visual Electric right now and try to like create a few different images and styles that feel aligned with your aesthetic. A good prompt that I was playing with last night was just like thinking about fun holiday memories that I have of from my life, and trying to create cards that felt like that. So like this one I created last night just felt like a walk in the winter wonderland in the mountains. I feel like Penny, this reminds me of Canmore, and it just like it felt so good. And even this, I really love using images in a way like that are generated from AI in a way that you are like remixing them. Like I said earlier, I think a lot of people struggle because they think that like the output should be the final thing. And I think that the best outputs are remixed. They are either an image that you generate that then you bring into Photoshop and edit, or that you layer on top of other things. So with this example, like this is an image of, sorry, my grandma's calling me. Oh, nice. I'll call her back after this. But yeah, like images like this that are just kind of like a group of presents, and I selected colors for these and I thought that they were quite fun. But if you layer over top this kind of tree, it becomes like a really lovely design piece, and you're layering meaning on top of it. It feels like a Christmas card or a holiday card. So I find that this was like a fun one to play with. The Joy one was like a little bit more difficult. This felt kind of like cheesy Hallmark. And then I added another one down here of a frame with just like kind of a star. So yeah, let's maybe take a little moment and generate a few images here that we can then pull in and make some fun holiday cards together. This is also kind of like earlier this week, I tried a new tool called Rive. If you haven't heard of it, it's an animation tool that creates really efficient files for embedding in apps and websites. And just like we're doing a really simple application here, we're like generating fun holiday images and making some cards out of them. With Rive, like the very first thing that I did was create like little, just like a stroke animation. I had shapes and I just like animated the stroke, populating the shape. And it was a fun, like very early, like use case of something. And so that can often be like the spark that gets you into something. And then you think, oh, like, but what if I tried this? Or what if I tried that? So hopefully this is that for you. If you haven't been in Visual Electric before, if we can just create some fun little images, maybe this will spark something for you in your client work or personal work or something like that, and we can do some fun things here. So I'm going to go back to Visual Electric and generate some images all together. But yeah, if you're generating images right now, I'd love to hear kind of like what's going on your screen. Keith, how are you finding things?
It's super fun. I mean, I've played with this tool before a little bit, but the
Yeah.
output I'm getting is amazing just from like a very simple sentence. It's really impressive.
Yeah. It's what are you prompting right now? I want to see what I can generate from that.
I'm definitely just prompting like drunk Santa Claus, drunk elf dancing on a table or something.
Yeah.
Getting some interesting results.
See what we get if we do like a Santa's workshop with elves creating gifts. I have historically had, historically by meaning like the last 2 or 3 years, have been really bogged down with work and haven't really like taken time to celebrate holidays. as much as I would like. So I was like, let's do it together here. We'll have some like fun holiday spirit. It's almost December. So like these are like, they're so silly. This is like a classic illustration style that feels like very like retro Disney-esque, which is kind of fun. I wonder what we'd get if we made this a comic book. But these are kind of like silly expressions of things right now, but you can kind of see how this might apply to oh, Penny just hit the monthly limit on the free plan. Yeah, that happened to me pretty quickly on what I was generating as well. So if you have hit the limit on the free plan, put your prompt in the chat and I'll keep generating stuff and we can drag some stuff into there. It'll be good. Yeah, damn, it looks right out of Disney. Yes, it is. Yeah, Eric noted it still can't handle text well. I tried to add words to a blank sign. Yeah, I found that as well, is that it doesn't do a great job with typography or text in general, which is why I think it's also like that note about remixing things. Like maybe you generate an image for a background of something and then you can bring it into Figma or Illustrator or another tool and layer your own text on top of it. And that way, like, I really think it is kind of like a partner rather than a replacement. It kind of needs you as a designer to give your eye to something and not have it like output in general. But let's see what we got here. Yeah, anybody else having like interesting outputs happening?
So I went for the comic book route first, and I have my dog and I on a sled on a downhill right now.
Oh my god. Is it
and
in the Fig Jam?
It's in the Fig Jam, yeah. And I'm trying to see if I can create another version where I can put my parrot on my shoulder too. So we're gonna see how it goes there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so fun.
I started with Pokemon, like when you were doing your presentation, I started prompting with like Pokemon stuff, and then you were like, oh, holiday cards, and I was like, well, that makes more sense. So then I switched up my style. So now I feel like this is more Christmassy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's so fun. Yeah, look at you guys. Happy holidays.
Yeah. I do have a question for you too. How do you find or how do you try to find a balance between like not pasting in a whole paragraph as a prompt, or do you do that sometimes as well? Like, do you find that it's better to iterate on a picture with like Visual Electric is kind of a unique tool in that regard where you can go down and retouch and make variations of stuff? So do you try to start with something simple and then like keep adding to it, or do you ever just like dump in a whole paragraph as a prompt and then just kind of see what comes out?
Yeah, this is something that I've like played with a little bit. I haven't gone super deep into prompting or like trying different stuff. Like I said to Maggie and the crew before we started, like I am like honestly like I don't have like a lot of depth in this, like compared to some folks that I see on Twitter who have like very dialed prompting and have tried out like short prompts and long prompts, and they like inject lots of different things. And like I'm pretty basic in the things that I am putting in. What I do find is that like I'll try to find like a spark of something that feels right. So I'll usually start with like short phrases or just like situations that I want to see in different styles. And then from that, if I see something that I'll kind of like double down on it and either like keep the core of the prompt and then like add things to it. Or I have tried using Visual Electric has an interesting like art director feature. I haven't had like super great luck with it. Just with I find that in a previous version, when you use the art director, so for example, if let's find an image here and just like try this out. So like let's say like make it night time, and I'll see what this does with the art director. Basically, this is kind of like a remix tool. Previous versions of Visual Electric, when you used this remix tool, it would do it at like a lower quality output. So I found that I wasn't really using this like in the way that it was intended, but they've since changed that. You can now see that there's like highest quality and fastest speed like options for this. And it does like kind of interesting things. But I think like the name of the game and like finding the right image with these tools is just like to keep going. It's like you find one thing that you like, and then you like add something to the prompt, or use the art director, or change the colors, and then you just kind of like keep going until you find something. I don't think that it's like super helpful. Well, maybe it is. I have found that like coming into a tool like this with like more of an open mind about like what the final output will be is helpful, rather than trying to like have something exactly in my mind, like the position of a body or something like that, and getting that out, and just being like open to what it gives me, and then like working with that and kind of like meeting in the middle sometimes. But yeah, I would experiment and see like, does a long paragraph get you what you want? Does a short like sentence does like, I haven't found, like, I generally am just prompting with like a sentence
All
and
right.
then the tools on like color and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I used to when Dolly like first came out, and then it was like I would get ChatGPT to write me a prompt to then feed back into ChatGPT for like Dolly, but it would always come up with like this huge pair, like this huge thing, and then like trying to change a small detail was like next to impossible because there's so many other things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that that's really difficult, like to like, if you have like one detail of something, like if I were to ask this like to give it a button, I don't know, like I've not had great luck with like directing specific details on things, which is where I think you're often better off to like generate an image and then like bring it into Photoshop or like edit it yourself, and that could be really interesting.
Awesome.
Keith said, question for Grace. How do you manage consistency between multiple images on a page, like 2 sections on a page with different images, but same style? That's something that I actually like, I really like about Visual Electric, is that if you can find a preset style that feels aligned with what you're trying to output, that can be a way as a starting point to create images that feel within a similar style. Like, for example, I really love the gouache painting one. I think that that's so fun, if that's appropriate for work. But like if you can find a style and generate like within that preset style, that can be great. You can also create your own styles within Visual Electric. So like I have preset styles here for like this Rippling Reflections was the one that I used for Catheros. And you can drag images into Visual Electric as well. So if you have like a set of images that you really like the vibe of, you can bring them in and create a new style, and then it will generate based on that style. I tried to do that with this like 80s arcade artwork. I don't know. I downloaded this, or I bought this game collection thing on Switch that was like basically like a history of Atari. And it goes through and it gives you really interesting content where you can both like play Atari games from the past, but also like it goes through like the company history and shows you like advertising from their early days. Like it's so cool. And I took some screenshots of that and I like brought it in here and I was like, I wonder what it would do. And it didn't give me like great outputs that kind of like match that vibe, but it was kind of like an interesting experiment. Just to like try something and see if it did anything. So like if I do this 80s arcade artwork and I have like, we'll do like a Christmas tree, and see what it gives us. That can be kind of interesting. But yeah, like I found the best luck with like preset styles, sometimes creating my own styles, but generally it just takes like a lot of trial and error. Yeah, so like 80s arcade artwork, like look at these, they're kind of fun. Like they're all really kind of like bright, high contrast, and feel somewhat aligned. But I have seen also people recently in brand guidelines creating like prompt guides. So if you are using tools like this in your brand work, and you're handing off like a brand guide, creating some like sample prompts for people or for your client to use in the future, I think is an interesting thing to do, and giving them guides on like what feels aligned with the brand and what doesn't. I think that can be pretty cool. Eric also said Visual Electric has a nice email newsletter where they send out inspiration weekly and there's some amazing stuff in there. Yeah, there absolutely is. Like even on their homepage, I'm logged in right now, so I don't think I can actually go to their homepage, but they show some like incredible outputs that are yeah, super, super inspiring. Let's hop back into Figma and see if anybody else has great. Look at all our fun holiday cards. I love this. Maggie said, I'm also curious about pricing. So 20 images for free per month. And then what kind of budget would you be looking at if it was testing a bunch of variants for blog thumbnails? Yeah, I think that that's like the tricky part about a lot of tools like this, particularly Visual Electric, is that there is a cost involved to that. They graciously gave me a plan to use and generate and just like try out the tool. But it is a significant cost, I think. And the way that I try to look at stuff like this is that if I can find efficiency in my work where I'm maybe not having to use stock imagery, or if the output of my work becomes exponentially better, like even with Catheros, like having those layered backgrounds like made such a difference for just the depth of the work, and making it feel more alive. And to me, I don't mind paying a few $100s a year for a tool like that if I'm able to get access to images and assets and have this kind of like tool for creation. And I think about a lot of like tools like that, is that even if something is like kind of expensive, like $400 or $500 a year, if you're able to play with it and it sparks creativity, especially if you do this as a profession, I think it's worthwhile for that. But yeah, I hit free limits on Visual Electric pretty early and I started paying for it because it was worthwhile to me. Like I love using this tool. It's so fun. But yeah, it's definitely an expense. Yeah, Patrick said prompt guideline in a brand deck is wild. It is, but it's so cool. It's like, yeah, it's definitely like it's like a wild new thing. It's a new era that we're living in for sure. Eric said $16 a month gives you 500 actions or 500 basic image changes. Yeah, great pricing. Information. So yeah, they recently changed their pricing. I think instead of like per image, it was like volts. I think let's go to their pricing page and see if we can find that. Yeah, Keith had to buy a month to keep going. Yeah, that is a limitation on stuff like this, but it is so fun. And I think like even paying for a month of something, my approach to tools like this is like pay for a month of it, see if you use it. If you're not using it and if you're not finding value in it, just cancel your subscription. Like $16 to try something for a month is, I think, worthwhile, especially if this is your job, to be knowing stuff like this. Yeah, so let's go to the pricing page. Let's share this. Yeah, so $16 a month gets you 500 volts per month. I think it's like 1 volt per image, if I'm correct. And then you can like expand that upwards, and you get different like licensing options as well. Like once you start paying for Visual Electric, you can use these royalty free commercially. You can share images, there's an upscaler, all of that kind of stuff. So to me, this feels really worthwhile as a creative professional. Keith didn't use our discount code. Keith, we got a discount code. That's okay. Put it on Flow Sparrow. It's a business expense. That's good. Awesome. Yeah. Also happy to answer any other questions about like, I know we're doing like a fun like holiday card right now, but if you have any other questions about like client work using tools like this or anything, happy to chat about that. I love this one. That feels so cozy. Yeah, Patrick.
Is there any reason why you would want to like, I don't know if it's an option or something you can do, but like a collaboration kind of way you can work in here where you can invite a client into your board? Like, would you ever want the client to see your board while you're working on it and have them iterate on a project with you? Or is it something like you like to keep control of?
I think they do have collaboration options on their higher tier plans. I believe. I haven't used them. And I'm thinking about it in my new role just because there are like a few people on our team who I think like it would be really interesting for us to work together on stuff. But in general, like thinking about my typical client structure, I don't really want a client like in there with me. I just want to like try stuff. Some of it's dumb, some of it's silly, like some of it's like really ugly and not aligned. Like I think tools like this are like inherently messy. Like you kind of have to go through, you have to like wade through a pile of like average stuff or things that don't feel aligned to find one or two things that are real nice sparks. Um, so yeah, I just prefer it's the same. I don't want my clients like watching me design either. Like
Yeah,
they
for
can
sure.
be in my Figma file and see all the messy stuff, but it just like as a personal preference, I don't like to be surveilled when I'm working. I want to just like output stuff and then remix it. It's
Yeah.
quite fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else curious about anything with image generation or other questions I can answer?
I have a question. I don't know if you know that. I just thought of it. Are there any resources for good prompts for like visual electric or any?
Great question.
There
I mean,
probably are. Yeah. There's one, just let me find it here. I haven't seen anything particularly with Visual Electric, I don't think. But there are a lot of folks, like even if you just search for like prompt packs or something like that, like there's a lot of creators I think on that I've seen on X at least, who do some really interesting work and they'll like share their prompts. So you can buy like a prompt pack for Midjourney and it'll give you like exactly what they used for prompting and things like that. So I think like stuff like that can be really, really interesting. I also think that I love the work that Charlotta Brunarova does. She had this really interesting article on her site about how she uses AI in her work. I think it's in, yeah, see how I use AI in my work. And she wrote this whole page about how she uses generative AI in branding. And I think this is like one of the best resources that I've seen someone compile on like how they're using AI in their work. Charlotta just does like absolutely stunning brand work. And I think she is an excellent example of what I was talking about earlier of remixing outputs. And so you'll see like it's I think in a lot of times in her work, like it's never really like the first output. She'll generate something and then she'll edit it and then it's within a composition and then it feels like the brand. So I think it's like starting you down a pathway, taking something, remixing it, bringing it into your style, aligning it with your taste. And she's just done some like absolutely stunning stuff. Like how cool are these little collages for IDEO collab ventures? Just like so stunning. And these like little embroidered pieces as well. Like look at those cuties. Like they are so cool. It's really, really fun. I've also seen people use tools like this, like Midjourney and Visual Electric, to create mock-ups. I'm almost positive that the crew at Goodside use them to create like really incredible mock-ups for one of their clients for like their case studies. Like they created these kind of like ethereal scenes for a client and then injected their work into it. And it is really, really cool. But yeah, I would definitely take a look at that post from Charlotta. And there's also lots of other great resources and things like that.
Also, I just found too on like in Visual Electric itself in the inspo tab on the left, there's like all those examples and they have the prompt that they used in the image, which is pretty cool. So you can like click the image and see what they prompted and then add it to your canvas and stuff.
See, you don't have to be an expert at the tools that you're using. I never look at that. But yeah, no, that is definitely there in the inspo here. Yeah, look at this. I totally forgot that this is here. But yeah, you can look at stuff and see what prompt they use, what style it was. That's a great call out, Patrick. Thanks for the reminder. Awesome. Look at that, like this coffee and an eye. Like, God, that's so cool.
Yeah. Can you
Iced
add? I'm not sure if I missed this earlier. Can you add your own images? Like if you had a photograph that you wanted to have it do some riffing on, can you do that?
I believe you can add images. Like the only way that I've ever used it is to add images and then like create styles from them. I don't know that I've
Mhm.
ever. It'd be worth a try to see if that's
Right.
possible, because I know you can do that. I've seen some really interesting stuff recently with like Mid-Journey retexture, I think is what it is, and like you can bring images in and then like add new textures or retexturize stuff to like riff off of those images. I haven't done that in Visual Electric. It might be possible. It just hasn't come up for me in my work, but definitely like worthwhile to try it out for sure.
All right.
Yeah. All right, let's see where we landed with our holiday cards. Look at that cutie little one there. Got some winter joy here. Awesome. Oh, I love these. Is this like the low poly preset or the craft paper? That's super fun. Yeah, awesome. Question here from Pixelita. Hi, Grace. On the standard plan, it says imagery may be used on the inspo library. What percentage in your experience is added to the public library? I don't think I've ever seen any of my images on the public library. I don't think they're good enough. So yeah, I don't know. I think that you probably need to be aware that like they could show up on the inspo board. And if you don't want them to, then that would be why you'd want to pay for like a higher tier plan. But in my experience, I don't think any of my images have ever made it there because most of them are not very good. Awesome. Yeah, I love those. Those are super cute. Patrick, did you there with your parrot?
Yeah, I got him finally.
Oh, I love that. That is super
Great.
cute. That's like honestly how I started just like playing around with Visual Electric. Was like I would prompt images that were like scenes from a run that I did that day, or like just like stuff from my everyday life, just to see like what it could do and where I could maybe use it. And I think like starting small like this and just doing like fun silly stuff is a really great way to get introduced to a tool. Keith, was this you? That's so
I
funny.
think so.
Oh my gosh, that's cute. Oh, I love it. Got a little Pokemon in here. That's funny that it like did the Pokemon little little IP.
Yeah, I'm not sure who did that one, but then right above it, I did like a super realistic Pikachu as well, and it just didn't question at all, just gave it right to me. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really fun. I love that. Yeah, it's got some like fun anime styles for sure. But no, these are awesome. Ollie, look at that little gingerbread man on it.
Aw.
So cute. Oh, I love that. And the colors are just like perfect in there. That's a real cutie. I love that. Aren't we all just little gingerbread people working on our computers, tinkering away? That is super, super fun. Yeah, if you have an image that you've generated, pop it in here. I feel like this will be fun to see all the different kind of like holiday scenes that we created.
I wonder if a few of us hit the limit. Do you mind popping into the chat that code again for everyone who's here by any chance?
Of course.
Also, my favorite quote of this whole workshop is, "Aren't we all little gingerbread people?"
Yes.
So I'm just putting in the chat here for $20. I think this is right. I don't know if that phrasing is correct. I think it's like $20 off of your first plan when you sign up. So yeah. And if you're watching the stream back of this, I believe it's for the first 50 signups. So you can try using the code. If it works, wonderful. But hopefully the crew here can use it if you're interested in getting a paid plan. I'm also, this isn't like sponsored or anything. I just like really love this tool, and they
Mm-hmm.
sent it unprompted. So we're having fun with it. Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Unprompted. I
So,
mean, yeah.
Grace, what image do you think you've generated that and then been able to do work with that you're most proud of,
Oh
that
man.
you're most pleased with?
I've done some really fun stuff with Spellbook recently. We are launching a new brand in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully I'll be able to share that stuff soon. But yeah,
Mhm.
I've been working on some really interesting things, building off of Spellbook's magic and bringing them into Photoshop and creating new compositions and things like that. So that's probably like the coolest work that I've done recently. Unfortunately, I can't share it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that otherwise, like I haven't used like I feel like the depth of, like, I've barely scratched the surface, I feel like, on like the possibilities with using AI in my work. And like there's so much more to do all of the time.
Mhm.
And just like trying stuff and seeing what works. Is it 10% off forever? That's interesting. Awesome.
This might not be like super related just to visual electric, but like now that you're working for Spellbook, which like is they integrate like AI into like legal workflows, I think, right? Has that kind of like opened your eyes more to like using AI for stuff in like a more professional sense too, like as opposed to just, you know, creating images stuff for fun? Or is it like is it like was it like a light bulb moment kind of thing where it's like, wow, I can kind of really expand on this?
Yeah, I think it was really interesting. And part of the reason why I was so, like, I left my independent practice to join Spellbook, partly because I was so excited about what they were building with AI, and the way that lawyers were reacting to their software. It felt very similar to the way that I reacted when I first found Webflow. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. Like this is the tool that I need. And so yeah, I think there's also like a real spirit of just like AI tinkering at Spellbook, of just like trying new tools and seeing what the output is. And there's, I think, like a lot of encouragement for that. So like using Visual Electric to like spin up stuff and like use it in ads or use it in other applications is like definitely welcomed. And I think that that is just like a cool environment to be in, to um, like know that that kind of like spirit of exploration, spirit of tinkering is just like in the crew that I'm working with. And so that's been like really, really fun to explore and be part of, and like just having a lot of fun with it for sure. Awesome. Well, I think there are Keith said, I dream of one day working with a single team rather than multiple at a time. It has been very nice, I think, to focus on just going deep on something. Like that has been a real joy, and something that I'm like continuing to look forward to, is that like in general, I try to view work as like a choose your own adventure. And if you want to pursue something or keep going in a certain direction, um, if you have that pull to like try something and do it, it's kind of interesting to just go for it and see what happens. And even if it's like a longer client engagement, like I felt that pull earlier this year, and that was why, like, this is totally not on topic of Visual Electric, but earlier this year I felt a real pull to like just like dive deeper into the work that I was doing and have more headspace for a single client at a time. And so beginning of January 2024, I started a new structure with my work where I was only working with one major client at a time. And even that, for like the 3-month period that I was working with a client, to only focus on one team for the majority of the work that I was doing, was awesome. It was so fun to be able to just like have headspace to really go deep on something, and not just have to go with the first version of what I created because I ran out of time, but to give myself time to explore, to use tools like this to try new things. It can be really interesting. So yeah, if you feel like pulls like that in your work, just like go for it. We're all just choosing our own adventure with what we do.
Well, this might be a good place to kind of end it. I don't know, Penny, if you had a little outro or not.
I don't have anything specific. You can finish us off if you'd like.
Sure. Well, Grace, thank you so much for this workshop. That's awesome. It's actually very valuable for me anyways. I'm sure for a lot of people that are watching. Penny, you're better than me at this.
Okay. So yes, thank you so much, Grace. It was really a pleasure. We've been trying to get you on board to be able to do this for a while, and I'm glad that we were finally able to get enough time from you to do this, and it's been wonderful. Next week, we are having just a hangout. So come and show us more of your images that you've created in Visual Electric for the next over the next week. And the following week, we'll be hosting a showcase on our YouTube channel with Josh Lowe, whom surprisingly enough, even though he's Canadian, we had not actually had a showcase with Josh yet. So we are finally going to catch up with what he's been up to lately and what his plans are for the future. So thanks very much for joining us. And nocodenorth.com, if you're not already on our mailing list, we send out notifications to let you know what we're up to. And we hope to see you there. Join us in the lodge on Fridays. Bye-bye.
Bye.